We all know the stories of rags to riches, but what about the other way around? Today we're diving into the lives of 5 people who had it all, money, fame, power, only to lose it in the most tragic ways possible. From empires collapsing to lives cut short by scandal, these figures went from riches to ruin. Our first story is about Howard Hughes, a name once synonymous with power and glamour. Hughes was the billionaire playboy who conquered Hollywood, aviation, and the world of business. But his decline was as dramatic as his rise. In his later years, Hughes became a recluse, paranoid, living in darkness, and haunted by his own mind. He was consumed by obsessive-compulsive disorder. He moved from one hotel room to another, cutting himself off from the world, his health deteriorating. When he died, he was nearly unrecognizable, gaunt, with his once great mind shattered. The man who was once on top of the world became a ghost before he even passed away. Next up we have Barbara Hutton, heiress to the Woolworth fortune. Dubbed the poor little rich girl, Hutton's life seemed like a fairy tale. But beneath the luxury and diamonds was a life filled with sorrow. Hutton's life was a series of failed marriages, heartbreaks, and betrayals. She spent her vast inheritance lavishly, pouring money into palaces and possessions while her personal life crumbled. By the time she died, she was nearly bankrupt. Her fortune dwindled. She'd gone from a glamorous heiress to a lonely woman whose riches couldn't buy happiness. Our third story is about Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor who changed the world with his ideas on electricity. Though he was a genius ahead of his time, Tesla's life ended in obscurity and poverty. Tesla's career began with grand ambitions and groundbreaking discoveries, but he faced constant struggles, including battles with other inventors and a series of bad financial decisions. As years went by, he became increasingly eccentric and isolated, living in a small hotel room, feeding pigeons he considered his only friends. When he died in 1943, he was penniless and nearly forgotten by the world. Tesla went from the heights of scientific fame to a tragic end, a genius who ultimately paid the price for his dreams. Next is Oscar Wilde, one of literature's brightest stars. Wilde dazzled Victorian society with his wit and brilliance, but his story is a cautionary tale of how fame can turn against you. Wilde's relationship with a younger man led to a public scandal, and he was sentenced to 2 years of hard labour for gross indecency. Prison broke his health and spirit, and when he was released, he was a shadow of the man he once was, exiled, penniless, and heartbroken. He died alone, his legacy tarnished in the eyes of the society that once adored him. And finally, the infamous Marie Antoinette, a young queen who once lived in opulence at the Palace of Versailles. She became the face of the French Revolution's rage against the aristocracy. Marie's story is one of ultimate downfall. She went from lavish feasts and luxurious dresses to imprisonment, and ultimately the guillotine. She was stripped of her title, her wealth, her children, and finally her life. The people's anger was so fierce that even her final moments were marked by public humiliation. She'd gone from riches to ruin, an emblem of how fortunes can turn in the blink of an eye. And there you have it, 5 tragic stories of people who had it all, only to lose everything. Their lives serve as a reminder that fame and fortune can be fleeting, and sometimes the higher the climb, the harder the fall. If you enjoyed this journey into the darker side of history, make sure to subscribe to Darklight Archives, where we uncover the stories lurking in the shadows of fame, fortune, and ruin. Until next time, stay curious and beware the fall.